All right, I'm Chris Campbell. I'm a practicing CPA, and I work with individuals and small businesses to help them pay the least amount of taxes possible while keeping them out of jail. So today's video is short, and it's geared specifically towards owners of New York City companies. So if you are based in New York City and you have an LLC, this one was for you. So this was something that had come across my plate yesterday. I had talked about it in previous videos, or you might have seen it before, where you're an LLC and you choose to be taxed as a corporation, and it gets into all the savings that you may have, and that's all good. The one thing that folks in New York City have to consider is that New York City does not recognize S corporations. So New York State does, but if your business is located in the 5 boroughs, New York City does not recognize an S corporation. So what does that mean? So if you're a New York City S corporation and you go to file, because the city does not recognize that S corporation, you're treated as a regular corporation. So that means that you have to pay to New York City taxes on your profits. The whole purpose of going the S-Corp route is that the corporation itself doesn't pay taxes, the individual does. The federal recognizes that, New York State recognizes that, but New York City does not. So what New York City makes you do is they actually make you pay taxes on the income. And not only do you pay taxes on the profits of the company, you pay taxes again as you take the money out of the company. Whether that be in the form of a dividend, you take a salary out later. It is an issue where, unfortunately, your New York City gets taxed twice, and especially if you're also a resident of New York City as well. So with that said, the threshold, if you're an LLC, to be taxed as an S corporation is a bit different, because some of the savings that you may have could be offset by the additional taxes that you'll have to pay to New York City. So I was in this situation yesterday where I had a New York City LLC, and they were contemplating making the changeover. And I never had done this, but I actually sat down and did the math and said, okay, if, as a New York City, and factoring in the extra taxes that you have to pay to New York City, what would be the income threshold where it starts to make sense, specifically as a New York LLC? Because the numbers are a bit different for an entity that's not in New York City. So did the math, and I factor in the administrative costs, the payroll costs, what my fees were as far as filing an additional tax return, because now you have to file a corporate tax return, factoring all that stuff in. And the magic number that I hit was in the neighborhood of about $73,000. So obviously that may vary depending upon the payroll company that you use, and obviously what your tax preparers will charge you to get the taxes done. But for roughly what I charge, given the ballpark, you're looking at about $73,000 is the break point. And that $73,000, if you take all of your revenues and you take all of your business expenses, and this is not including paying yourself, so remove paying yourself out of the equation. So if you take all your revenues, take all your business expenses in 1 year, and if that net is at least $73,000, that's the break-even point. So anything above $73,000, then you're creating savings. So you can use that kind of as a guide or rule of thumb. If you're in a situation where you are an LLC, you're based in New York City, you're netting over that, then you may want to consider making that switch over and request to be taxed as the S corporation. Again, if you're outside the 5 boroughs, that threshold is a bit lower. I didn't necessarily do the math on that. Maybe I'll do that one day and share that in a different video. But New York City LLC owners, if you're making over that 73, consider making that move. All right? So that's all for now. Talk to you on the next one.